funny enough, the fan question that I get all the time, in person at least, is like, how did it feel to work with Drake?
Yeah.
I'm like, I worked with Aubrey Graham. And I still only know Aubrey Graham. Like, I don't think people realize that. Like, it's not like one day he was Batman and we were all like, oh,
yeah, whoa, Drake.
Who's Aubrey?
Happy Self-Love Saturday. Whoop, whoop. So another much needed conversation that I wanted to have was with one of my best friends, Christina Schmidt, who played Terri on Degrassi. And I learned so much from being on Degrassi in terms of growth and confidence and understanding of myself as an artist and as a woman. Her and I have been friends forever. We've been through so much together. And so I wanted us to have a conversation about some of the best and worst lessons that we had to learn while being on Degrassi.
I think they still think we are Hazel and we just are like,
That was a reality show. That was a reality show about a bunch of kids. Do people do this to you? Like, what episode is your favorite? Or like, what did you like most about the show? This is what I always try to tell people. I'm like, we didn't watch the show like how a fan would have watched the show.
yeah.
Because one, you're watching it as the actor. So you're literally looking at like, I hated my outfit. My hair looks stupid. This scene took us forever to do. Oh, this looks way different than the script.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't watching it like a normal person.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's crazy. And you're like, I don't want to be a dick about it, but you're just like, it's a completely different, it's like worlds apart experience.
Yeah.
Like, I did not get to see that show.
That post I did a few weeks ago, like the first Degrassi throwback post I've ever done on my page, and the one like,
Okay.
a bunch of us were sitting on the stairs, and like I think 8,000 people liked it, and like 500 comments of just like,
Degrassi
changed my life. Made it hard. You are everything. This show like guided me through high school and like stopped me from doing this and doing. I'm like, it did? Like, what?
Was I in high school? Do I have a soul? Do I have a heart? What was I watching? My go-to answer for when people are like, what's your favorite episode? I always just say the Breakfast Club one, because that's the only one I can recall. Like, okay, it had a smaller cast, and then also like I know that I'm featured in it, like in a way that would be like, oh yeah, I knew that I had like stuff to say and do. And then I always say like, whatever, there was a dance, because then everybody would be on set. But it's not even necessarily about the episode. It's just because every person was on set. Okay, this is what I think about all the time, is when we did the reunion and Aubrey was like, oh, I know that this place brings up kind of a mix of emotions for every person. And I kept thinking about that because I was like, I don't think as actors and as a cast, we've ever really discussed why it's a mix of emotions for every person.
Mm-hmm.
I think people almost keep it very PC when they talk about Degrassi in many ways. And not that you're trying to shit on the show, like even I think about the video that we did, and we were keeping it as generic as possible because one, we weren't trying to talk about the video or anything bad or anything like that. But then, I don't know, then I started to think about it and I was like, fuck it, whatever. Let's just talk about all the stuff, because I do think that every single cast, the actors themselves, would be able to tell you something that they learned or dealt with or discovered about themselves. And unfortunately is we were only teenagers. So it's not like we knew how to speak up for ourselves. Remember, like Adamo, they would literally just take the clothes from his closet and put them on him, right? Like, and he was capable of like going to wardrobe and being like, I don't like this. This is not what I want to wear. This is not what my character would wear. And I'm pretty convinced he was the only actor they listened to in that way. Yeah. Because any other person, like if you were kind of like, I think this shirt is ugly, or this, I just don't think the character
put it on anyway.
Literally.
I was like, wait, are you sure cornbread look good in my hair? Are you sure? He's like, yeah.
Do it.
Butterfly clips at the end of them too.
But that's the thing. That's the only thing you were capable of saying was kind of like, really? Like you didn't know how to be like, no. Coming off of Degrassi, I was able to process how much I felt like I didn't have a voice, and it like changed my trajectory in terms of how I spoke up. This is always the thing with Hazel. Like Hazel was literally treated like the black girl. Like she just didn't have anything going for herself other than like just being on the show kind of thing. Because you remember that like we would start the season and it was almost like we'd have like this principals meeting. Like we'd go and talk to them about like what we liked, what we didn't like, and what every year I would always put like, I was like, I'm not doing enough. Like, I don't think that I'm being used enough. Like, I think that you could do more with me. Like, I genuinely think that there should be more happening with my character, or with my storylines, or like even Aubrey and I's relationship on the show. It was like, use it. Like, there's stuff to do. One year, I kid you not, I had a meeting with them and they told me, yes, oh my God, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. We've got all the story for you. Literally none. Didn't do shit. And then the next season, when I was off of the show, they did all the story with like somebody else's character. And I was like, what on freaking earth? But you don't know how to process that, right? Like, I didn't know how to really speak up and say, listen, like, this is what you should do. Or if you really don't know how to use me, can I give you some ideas? Can I give you some insight in the writing, or just something of some sort that I'm like
a bit of fear. Like I remember back in the day, like the writers, the producers, the directors.
Yes.
Like you just felt this sense of fear to everybody. Like I view them as just like, you have to do what they say when they say, else you're in trouble.
Oh no, 100%. You didn't feel like you necessarily had a choice to speak up. And I don't know who put that where. Like, I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just because we literally were children and that's just how you saw adults and authority. Yeah. You were never like Terri, basically. You were literally never like, there was never a part of you that was like, oh, and then she blossomed into this flower woman. It was like, I was like, if you knew her when we were teenagers, I'm like, she was always confident. She was always that girl. She was always out there in these streets. She was always like, she was a man. She always was doing something. And so I'm like, but Terri was so opposite to you in that way. Yeah. That I'm like, Christina would never have met Rick. Like, that would not have happened. You would have beat him up. And I mean, like, teenager Christina would have beat him up. Like, you would have been like, I'm sorry, you said what? I'm not allowed to do, huh?
I know.
Like,
I know.
How did you feel when you found out that Terri was going to be killed?
So that was, oh man, because that was like the first one to like really get off of the show. So that was like sad. That was the most crushing thing ever. And in that moment, you don't think about like, okay, I was in the biggest Canadian teenage series for 4 seasons as a lead. I think of like, I just got cut from the fucking show.
Yeah.
None of the positive was there. And it was like, that was all insecurities coming in, overthinking everything, like not a good time.
Anyone ever like explain to you why?
Everybody just said it was the storyline of what happened to Terri with Rick. And like, but it was also kind of like no explanation. Yes. Like, I still don't really know. I just knew that like after this episode with Rick, Terry's going to be moving schools.
Did it affect your confidence outside of the show?
Definitely. Like I didn't really want to act anymore. Added to the fear of rejection with things. Yeah. Questioning if my acting sucked the whole entire time and I just didn't know. Yeah. And really just like I said, blocked out all the positive things that came with it. It was just like, I'm the first character to go. My acting must be shit. Yeah. I need to be the first one to go. I didn't even really get this explanation. That horrible stunt double left me off with that fucking fall.
I don't know if you remember this, because originally I think you said that there was going to be something like he pushed you down the stairs. Like it wasn't going to be like the Rock type of something like that. I remember visualizing it like, you're gonna have to fall down some stairs.
It's been like so fast too. Like, okay, this is gonna happen, then it's done.
I felt like that because Hazel didn't get a lot to do. I used to feel like, oh, my acting must be shit.
Yeah.
Because they would never give you like an explanation as to
you question everything. You question
no one was really like protecting you in that regard. And I guess that's where, like, that's how different set life is now, right? Like, there would be like an on-set therapist. There would be like somebody to be like, hey,
100%.
can we talk through some of the storylines? Can we talk through some of the things that are going to happen? Can we talk, you know, like there would be something like that today if that was the show.
Yeah.
Back then, no one was even thinking like that, because in reality, it did, as a teenager, do that to you, because we weren't adults. We were still actually like 15 and 16 and 14 years old. And so you're like, how am I supposed to process why this is happening to me, especially if no one's really giving you a proper explanation? But I did second guess. I was like, maybe I'm a shit actress. Maybe I should be doing something else. Maybe I'm not.
Yeah, you question everything. You question everything.
And you don't really know where to go. I was grateful that at the time, kind of like towards my last season, I did another series that was way different. And I remember being so desperate to do it, like that even the filming schedule was going to be kind of cutting into like the Degrassi filming schedule.
You wanted that.
But I wanted it because I was so desperate to do like anything else. It wasn't nearly as big of a show as Degrassi was. It wasn't going to be as popular, but just to gain some sense of the fact that like I'm an artist, I actually act. I'm not just like this useless character. Do you think that any of the things that you dealt with on Degrassi has affected you now, or did you think you had to overcome anything?
Like I'm a pretty confident person now still with everything, but I think even with like the few odd request auditions I've got since then, like that fear is still there. Like it still affects me.
Oh no,
it still affects me. Like, should I do this?
Yeah.
Is my acting still bad? Like, am I viewed just from that person who I was on Degrassi? Like I can't, like, I'm like, how did they even find me? Like, did they see my acting on Degrassi then? That like they wouldn't want me now. Like it's just like, and this is like 15 years later.
Easily 15 years later.
And it's still, acting wise, it's like I never really got back into it, and I think that's probably a huge reason why. And blessing in disguise, because it opened the modeling doors for me. But that I think definitely like deep down is still lingering a little bit.
It's like that's the reason people are going to bring you into the room is because of Degrassi. But then at the exact same time, you're like, I feel different from that place. I'm not that age even anymore. It's like now 4 or 5 years later. So I used to feel like immense pressure, like to look like my teenage self, mind you, which I had evolved past. I just didn't feel like even that girl. And so I used to really struggle on like curly hair or straight hair, like just not knowing like how I should be, because I just felt like, well, that was like your claim to fame. That's like how people saw you. Only reason why I did any internet stuff at all was because I didn't want to be seen like Hazel. Like, yes, Degrassi has been this big part of my career, and I'm very grateful for it. And I'm very grateful that people recognize this character. Yeah. And like, so all internet stuff, that was the only place that I had as like an outlet. Then what do you think was your like best Degrassi moments?
For the character that Terri played, messages till this day, how that was her being a role model. And it is nice knowing I had that influence on people to have that confidence, because at that time there really wasn't that much diversity at all in series in any which way. When it comes to life, like the doors that it opened, like I'm still modeling. My first modeling job was a company in LA who saw me on Degrassi. Flew me out to shoot their campaign. Till this day, like that's how I got my first modeling agent in LA. Yeah. And till this day, I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Like that's what became your career.
And that is, I played that on the show, and that's literally what I'm doing
right now.
Like it's so weird. And like we do to ourselves, I would go think about the negative things. Like I was one of the first characters to go. Was my acting shit? Yeah. I don't even know. I wish I could have done it longer. It went on for like 85,000 seasons, and I like did 4. Like instead of being like, you know what? Like I was on one of the breakthrough series in Canadian and U.S. history. Till this day, it's still going on. It's like one of those shows as like diehard fans.
Yeah. Diehard fans.
And like I can still pull the Degrassi card when I need to sometimes.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's the thing. I'm always like, I get recognized every single day from Degrassi. Every single day, somebody is like, I'm sorry, but, and that's a blessing, right? Like, I always think that I'm like, I was able, moving to the US, to continue to pursue acting. Like, that was a big part of opening doors for me, of like getting agents or getting a manager, getting
your visa and everything.
Anything was the fact that I was on this show. And I'm still to this day very grateful for that element. I think also, the hustle of understanding shooting something 5 days out of the week for
it's crazy. I don't even think we realized how much we were learning. Like that is, if you want to be anybody in the entertainment industry, even into the fashion industry, like that is university 101 for the creative.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And you don't even realize that it is your.
You don't even realize it. You don't even.
Or even just, I think even for myself, like as a writer in general, like reading scripts so frequently, having those scripts to kind of analyze and look at and talk about and see the way they would tweak it or not tweak it. It genuinely gave me that like understanding of like, okay, I genuinely want to be in this world. So it did give me, and still gives me, like a lot of opportunity. And then I do think it's unique to be a part of a series that did affect people in such this way, where they're like, it guided me through high school, or it guided me through my teenage years.
Yeah, it's wild.
Like that kind of understanding is even, I still don't quite know it. I still don't quite get it. You know what I mean? I'm still like.
Still this weird feeling of like, was I on Degrassi? No.
If you were to make up a scenario of what you think Hazel and Terri are doing to this day, what do you think that they're doing? I always think about that. Like, what would they be doing right now?
Like maybe exactly what we are.
Exactly.
Like maybe exactly like Hazel and Terri were the like crew love friends from high school that maybe weren't like the best of friends in high school, but ended up like prospering over everybody, and like we're still so tight. I continued modeling. Hazel turned into like this bomb ass producer, actress still, like, and we're still thriving. We're still thriving. I'm always grateful for it, but until I really think about it, how it really paved the way for like who I am today. Like the natural instinct of like being a human, you focus on the negative.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've often had regret, like I should have kept acting.
Yeah. Or you should have fought, or you should have spoke up, or you should, you know what I mean? I have those regrets, but at the exact same time, I do look at it as like Degrassi University. Like it gave me
everything,
all the stuff. Turned me into the producer that I am. It turned me into just the person that I am, in the sense of learning that I was like, I want to speak up.
As simple as it is, like, don't give up and don't view everything in the negative, because I made the mistake of that. Like for such a long time, I didn't view it as like the positive of being on Degrassi and doing this. I viewed it as I was one of the first ones right now. Like, especially this industry is a bitch. Like it can be the most amazing thing ever, but it can tear you apart. And just to work on the tools to not let it get you and keep going is huge.
I think I wish that too, like my teenage self. I wish that after I'd come off the show that I had the opportunity to rebuild my confidence after the show.
Yeah.
Instead of, because I felt like I kind of just went steaming ahead. You know what I mean? It was like I just kept going, in the sense of like the stuff I was working on and my goals and all that kind of stuff. But I needed something to bounce me back into who I was before I had started the show.
Yeah.
Instead of, because I felt the same way too. Like when I was kind of done, that was it. I was just done. There was no like, okay, like, we're glad to have you. We're, you know, like, the character's now going over here. It was just like, zoop, out of here. That I wish after the show, I had that awareness and had that understanding of myself that I kind of needed a boost. I needed something to say, you, Andrea Lewis, are good enough to pursue your dreams.
It's crazy how long ago it was.
Because it feels like yesterday, but it also feels like 100 years ago.
Yeah, all at the same time. It's confusing.
All at the exact same time. It's so weird. Anyway, this was a lovely chat.
Yeah.
Our Degrassi ups and downs.